Yo, 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 what is up, my peeps? It's your main man Kop here. We are back with another awesome video for you. And today we're going to take a look at some of the lore leading into the upcoming expansion, DragonFlight. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to take a look back at some of the zones and storylines you're going to want to revisit before DragonFlight launches. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Kop's top 6 zones and storylines to replay before DragonFlight. Number 6. Alright, we're going to start with our number 6 entry. And it seems only right with Wrath of the Lich King Classic launching that we start with an entry that is in Northrend. It's kind of a subzone. It's in Borean Tundra and it's called Coldara. And the story here is that the mad blue dragon aspect, Malagos, is still alive and kicking. And we've got to figure out what he's trying to do and how he's trying to do it. And this whole zone is about that. So I won't wreck too much of the story, but there's like a dungeon and a raid in this zone as well that kind of add into the story. So it's always been, if I'm forced to go through level through Northrend, I always come here because it's one of my favorite stories in Wrath of the Lich King and in Dragon lore in general. So I hope you enjoy it too. Number 5. And with our number 5 entry on the list, we are back in the Broken Isles, in the Legion Zone of High Mountain. And I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're thinking, Kop, High Mountain, isn't that just about a bunch of weird Tauren with moose horns? Kinda. But there's also a weave throughout the entire zone of the Black Dragonflight Deathwing when he was known as Neltharion the Earth Warder. And a black dragon who managed to escape the corruption of the old gods, just by a force of will alone. And it weaves back into the storyline in Dragonflight. So I definitely recommend you taking a look at this zone again. It is visually gorgeous, and I know you'll enjoy it. Number 4 on the floor. Alright, with our number 4 entry, we're just going to cheat just a little bit and actually talk about 2 separate zones that are separated by more than an expansion, but the story of the second zone really is a continuation of the first. So the first one we're going to look at is Val'sharah, or as Malfurion calls it, a physical representation of the Emerald Dream on Azeroth. And we're going to be aided by the Green Dragonflight, witness the death of a major lore character, and hunt down the evil Xavius. Highly recommend you do this one. It's a very, very big story from Legion, not least of which because the lore character I mentioned earlier is one of the last, if not the last soul, to make its way to the Shadowlands before the Arbiter was taken out of commission. And for the second half of our number 4 entry, we find ourselves in the Shadowlands, in the zone of Ardenweald, where nature comes to replenish itself when it has fallen. And the major lore character I spoke about just a few seconds ago, the last one to make it to the Shadowlands and be redirected by the Arbiter, we follow their soul seed on its journey throughout Ardenweald and attempt to do our best to save it from a fate worse than death in the Shadowlands. Number 3. Let it be, number 3. All right, with our number 3 entry, I'm going to cheat again just a wee little bit and have 2 zones. Not because necessarily their story connects really well, but because both of these zones work a heck of a lot better as Horde than they do as Alliance for the Dragon story. The first one of these zones is going to be the Twilight Islands. And for Alliance, there's really only one hub. It is the Vermilion Redoubt. And you go through and see Alexstrasza getting really, really mad at the Twilight Drakes that are trying to capture her brood and turn them into evil. But as Horde, you also have the added bonus of allying yourself with the Dragonmaw clan, a clan that is quite famous for the Second War, using an artifact known as the Demon Soul to enslave Alexstrasza and force her to produce drakes for them to use in war. And since Alexstrasza is the aspect of life, and she was created to protect all life on Azeroth, you can imagine how much of an anathema that is for her. And this is something that extends into Dragonflight, because Dragonmaw orcs are now trying to make nice with the dragon aspects. So definitely something you'll want to replay. Alright, so for the second half of our number 3 entry on this list, we are in Dustwallow Marsh, one of my all-time favorite zones, both pre- and post-Cata. I just love the way the quest flows here. As far as the dragons go, the Alliance does kind of get the second half of this quest chain, but for the Horde, it really pervades the entire zone, because the first quest hub that you go to is an ogre village that only exists because the ogres have been kicked out of the village that they were in by the Black Dragonflight. So a lot of the quests only happen because you're trying to restore the ogres to where they were before. Also, Onyxia's Lair is here. It is just simply a chef's kiss good zone for leveling and for story. Oh, Harry, what is it you want me to be reading? Just a number? Okay, hold on. Number 2. Did you get that, laddie? Good. I'm gone. Alright, for the penultimate entry in this list, we are back in Northrend. And we are in the Dragonblight. This is a very important zone in Dragon history. As you can see, we're at Wormrest Temple. This is kind of the seat of dragon power that they established after they left the Dragon Isles. This is where all of their power was centered. And, you know, there's raids here. There's like 3 or 4 different raids that take place here. There's like 3 or 4 different dungeons that take place just related to the dragons in this zone, let alone the other ones. So this is an amazing zone. You do quests for all 5 Dragonflights, yes, including the Black Dragonflight. You do quests that culminate in one of the greatest quest lines in Warcraft history, with the Wrathgate. So yeah, definitely, if you have a chance, redo Dragonblight. It is probably one of my favorite all-time Wrath leveling zones, and it seems only right that it takes the number 2 spot on our list today. And with a request from Denver, Colorado, this is Casey Kasem, giving you the top entry in our list today, number 1. Alright, we finally made it. The number 1 entry on our list. The ultimate zone to be replaying before Dragonflight comes out. And it is, in my humble opinion, the Badlands. This zone is replete with a story that interweaves the Black and Red Dragonflights after Deathwing is broken free from Deepholm and torn the world asunder in the cataclysm. The Red Dragonflight is desperate, hoping to find some way to purify Black Dragon eggs so that they can save the Black Dragonflight from Deathwing, from the Old God's corruption, and hopefully help the Black Dragonflight much in the way that they did with the Blue. And that story is kind of interwoven throughout the entire zone, and a major lore character is born at the end. And really, that character really kind of resonates throughout Dragonflight, so... And a couple of the other expansions leading up to it, by the way. So definitely this is a huge zone to redo before Dragonflight comes out. Also, kind of as a side note, but it would have been enough to earn it at least number 5 on this list just in its own. This zone is home to a questline that is possibly one of the funniest in the history of World of Warcraft, the day the Deathwing came, where 3 different lore characters tell you about how they dealt with Deathwing destroying the Badlands. And I will say no more because I don't want to spoil it for any of you who haven't done it or haven't done it in so long that you've forgotten some of it. But definitely take a look at this zone. Alright guys, let me know what you thought about the choices I made. Let me know if there's any zones that you would have put on this list that I didn't put on this list. Maybe some honorable mentions. Some zones that have great dragon stories in them that I didn't put in. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Peace. Kop out.